Welcome back to Capitol Review. I'm Mark Hall. Two Supreme Court justices say that their safety is at risk with increasing threats, and they're asking Congress for more security funding, making a rare trip to Capitol Hill this week. It's really for the first time since 2019 since two justices sat before lawmakers asking for more money to fund their security. Justices Coney, Barrett, and Elena Kagan say in recent years there's been a rise in threats to the high court. They're asking for $228 million for the upcoming fiscal year. That's a 10% increase. The money would go toward expanding the personal protection for each justice, establishing a new visitor screening facility at the court, and toward combating cyber threats.
I didn't expect that performing this service was going to put me in the position of explaining to my children what a bulletproof vest was and why I had to wear one. If
you think that those views are going to appear on the front page of a newspaper, you pull back. You don't have the kinds of conversations that I think the court really depends on to do great work.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle appeared supportive of the request. Funding for the next fiscal year needs to be passed by both the House and Senate by September 30th. Well, joining us is Schonfeld, the legal affairs reporter with our media partners at the Hill. Zach, welcome back to Capitol Review.
Thanks so much for having me, Mark.
Zach, you know we're always happy to have you. What's been the reaction to the justices' testimony?
A pretty rare moment to see the justices not only in front of lawmakers, but also just in front of cameras. This was really one of the only times when we saw the justices able to speak to the public, freely there in front of the cameras. Now, on paper, the topic of the hearings this week were about security, and that was the major focus. The justices talking about, on a personal level, the threats that they have faced, including Justice Barrett, who talked about how she at one point had to wear a bulletproof vest and had to explain it to her children. But even beyond the security topic, the justices were asked by lawmakers about a whole host of different subjects, and it really just gave a flavor of the sense of how lawmakers are looking at this court. But really, the main focus was that additional security request and the justices seeking additional funding to beef up their security details.
Zach, when we talk about the Supreme Court, we think about the highest court, the black robes. You mentioned Justice Barrett talking about explaining to her 12-year-old why she has to wear a bulletproof vest. It seemed like it allowed them to connect with the public, or the public to connect with the justices' concerns.
That's right, and obviously the Supreme Court's security concerns aren't entirely new, but this really put a personal touch on all of the statistics that we have talked about so much on this show over the last few years about just these rise in threats, whether it be to Supreme Court justices or lower judges. And you actually had in these hearings lawmakers hearing the personal stories from some of these justices about how some of these threats have actually impacted their lives. Justice Barrett also talked about the fact that at her suburban Virginia home, it was just a few weeks ago when she was the victim of a swatting incident. So these incidents keep happening. Obviously, there was also the incident a few years back in Maryland where Brett Kavanaugh's home, someone showed up outside his home with the intent to assassinate him. That was ultimately unsuccessful. So it very much is a heightened threat environment, and the justices really, like I said, not only talking about the statistics, but able to put their personal stories on it as well.
Zach, are there some who actually don't support this?
Largely, there is a lot of support on Capitol Hill for this increased security. Obviously, it's a pretty sympathetic audience on Capitol Hill as well, with many of these lawmakers facing threats of their own. That being said, it's not completely unanimous. We have heard a little bit of pushback. One comment from one lawmaker talking about how Congress is not a piggy bank for the Supreme Court. But this is one of the key issues that Congress is going to have to work on the court with, because the court is seeking a fairly large increase in its security funding. And it is Congress at the end of the day that actually has to pass that funding into law. So this is a bit of a unique dynamic where you actually have the justices going across the street to Capitol Hill to make that case to the Article I branch, because that's where their funding comes from.
Do you see this moving forward?
It seems that there is a lot of support for this. There already has been some support on Capitol Hill over the last few years for recent increases in security funding. I think there are still some bigger questions because in addition to the security funding to increase the justices' personal details, to increase the number of bodyguards they have, there's some bigger items as well. For example, they want to take a look at building an exterior screening facility. Think of like the Capitol Visitor Center, how you go through the security screening outside the Capitol building and then enter the Capitol. The Supreme Court wants to take a look at a similar setup as well. So there could be some changes for the public as you try to visit the Supreme Court as well in future years.
Zach Schonfeld, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you.